Now, I've been reflecting a lot lately, and while I'm not one to regularly quote scripture, I've never been a fan of hyper-religiosity. I do believe there's a kind of quiet, timeless wisdom in certain teachings, and that wisdom, regardless of what you believe, often has a way of speaking to leadership and to purpose. Take the book of Proverbs, for instance. It says in chapter 27, verse 2, and I quote, "Let someone else praise you, and not your own mouth, an outsider, and not your own lips." Now, there is something so grounding in that, a reminder that impact doesn't need a microphone, that true leadership doesn't always come wrapped in self-congratulation, and that when the applause starts to come only from the stage and never from the crowd, perhaps it's time to listen a little more closely. You see, we're living in an era where some feel the need to remind us constantly of their greatness, of their unmatched brilliance. But Matthew 6:2 warns us about that kind of trumpet blowing. It says, "So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do, because they have received their reward in full." There it is, a timeless lesson. If you must keep saying it, then maybe it's not being seen. If you have to insist on your qualifications, maybe they're not as obvious as you think. Leadership at its best isn't performative. It's not a CV read out loud. It's not about whose voice is loudest in the room. It's about who listens after the noise fades. Paul, in Philippians 2:3-4, offers what may be the most radical idea of all. He says, "Do nothing out of self-ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves." So imagine that. Imagine a leadership that seeks to uplift others, not outshine them. One that draws strength from service, not from spectacle. Where humility is not a branding exercise, but a quiet discipline. So no, I don't often quote the Bible, but sometimes it's hard not to. Because whether you are a believer or not, these words still hold. And they ask us to remember one thing, that real leaders don't tell you they're great. They just lead and let the work speak. That's my take tonight.